Hey, what's going on? My name is Akele Parnell. I'm an attorney with Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. I represent the Cannabis Equity IL Coalition, and I'm on Canna Biscuits TV.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy J Haleem, and we are on Canna Biscuits TV. I am happy to be joined today. Listen, I had to go all the way up to the freezing cold Chi-Town to go ahead and find this brother here, Mr. Akele Parnell. He's up there obviously chilling. So this is what lawyers can do in COVID-19. You know, he doesn't have to wear his $10,000 suit. He can just chill out and relax. And I'm sure that's a blessing for him, but I'm sure he's still getting a lot of amazing work done. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because this gentleman is working with the Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, and most importantly, the Cannabis TV, the Cannabis Equity Coalition. Now, you know, a lot is going on right now. I'm sure you guys are buzzing up there just like the rest of the country is, especially after the election. A lot of things have been happening. So how has things been going? What's the climate like up there in Chicago with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excitement about the election because now we have a pathway to legalization in the near future, or at least we have one major barrier down. We got Trump, out of office. Biden isn't 100% on board with full legalization and commercialization, which means dispensaries and grows and all that. But Kamala is, and so next we got this upcoming Georgia Senate race, and so who controls the Senate is really going to end up determining whether or not we'll see legalization in the next few years. But there's a lot of excitement. As you know, we have an equity program, and we've had our first 2 rounds of license applications completed, but we haven't seen the results yet. Things have been locked up in litigation and all that stuff, but there's still a lot of excitement and a huge opportunity in Illinois. And we're just looking forward to seeing, more Black and brown entrepreneurs in the space.
You know, it's funny. Is it just that simple? Is it a Republican Democrat thing when it comes to this situation as far as cannabis on this? Is it really like more Democrats want it, more Republicans don't? Is it just that simple?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically that simple. I mean, it's a little more nuanced. There's a few Democrats who kind of on the fence, but at the end of the day, if the majority of the Democrats want it, if they're in power, it's going to happen just because, their base wants. There's the financial opportunity there, a bunch of tax revenue that the government can make, city, federal, all that stuff. So it's going to happen.
Now, as an entrepreneur, because you can help me out, you can help our viewers out, usually as entrepreneurs, we do a little bit better when Republicans are in office. And so why is it that they're not, it's a lot of money to be made. Is it because they haven't figured out how they fit in the situation at this point? Is that the thing?
No, they've actually figured out their position in the thing. So John Boehner is a prominent Republican. He used to be in Congress, actually is on the board of one of the largest companies in the United States. And Mitch McConnell is a huge hemp person. So he's like the Senate Majority Leader right now. He's the main sort of opposition against it. I think the reason that a lot of folks think that Republicans being in power is better for entrepreneurs because they usually enact lower tax rates on businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And less regulation. So that's really the key. But as far as minority entrepreneurs, Democrats are going to be more beneficial to those because they're going to create more incentives and make more loans available and all that stuff to get, Black and brown businesses started. So, we need the Democrats in office, in my opinion.
That's great education. That's great education because a lot of people are just voting for who they usually vote for, who your mom voted for, everybody look like you vote. They need to know this type of stuff, so that they can know why they're actually pushing that button, and not just for the president. As you said, can you hear me better now?
You can hear you better now. Yeah, I was breaking up a little bit.
If I was saying that it's good to hear, this type of information because people literally are like, just vote for who my mom voted for and then who my brother voted for and things like that, and don't really know the actual nuances about what's going on in which party and why is the best opportunity for you personally. So I love that. That was great information. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Cannabis Equity Coalition. A little bit about that. How did you come to become a part of the coalition?
Yeah, so basically, I give you maybe a little background about how I got into the space in the first place. And so I was working as a business attorney doing M&A, securities, like which is like companies buying each other, issuing stock, raising capital, all that stuff generally. And then I got the offer to go in-house with a cannabis company in Chicago. And so I took that position. This was when they were a smaller company. It basically worked on market expansion activities, brand partnerships, real estate, basically just doing business deals for the company. It ended up being one of the largest companies in the U.S. They publicly traded and all that. But my passion was to see Black and brown people in the industry and people from the communities most harmed by the war on drugs benefiting from the market. And so I decided to sort of step out and do my own thing, and got a job with Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, working on business development and equity in the marketplace, and had some contacts with the Cannabis Equity IL Coalition because we were out, had been organizing with Chicago Normal for cannabis equity, and they were thinking about starting up some new campaigns, and they wanted an attorney to help advise them on how to best advocate for equity in the industry and push for more equitable policies. And so I brought them on as a client, started working with them, and then joined the board a little bit later, and we started that's our community benefits agreement campaign came out of that, and our current sort of legislative advocacy campaigns grew out of that partnership.
I love it. I love it. Chicago, they like to paint Chicago as one of the worst places, especially in the Black and brown areas. Even though we know that a lot of rich people live in Chicago, and the Chicago area is probably like the third biggest city in the country, and a whole bunch of great things. But sort of like how they do Africa, the only thing you see is, the starving children and stuff like that. And so that's how they show Chicago. What are you hearing from those individuals, those more so disenfranchised individuals, when they're seeing people moving into that city and making money off of things that they went to prison off of? What are they saying to you? How are they asking for you to help?
Yeah, I mean, people are furious. I mean, and rightfully so, because Chicago actually had one of the highest disparities in the arrest rates between Black and white folks. And so everybody knows that Black people, white people, Latinx folks use cannabis at roughly the same rates. But in most places, Black people are about 3 times more likely to be arrested for cannabis possession or use or dealing than white people. But in Chicago, at certain times, it was as high as like 8 times more likely, even though everybody's using it, everybody's dealing at the same rate. And so now Chicago has kind of emerged as like the Silicon Valley of cannabis, because we have, about 3 to 5 of the major cannabis companies in the U.S. based out of Chicago or based out of Illinois.
Wow.
And so, some of these companies are worth billions of dollars, are being sold for nearly $1 billion. While there's no Black or brown significant ownership in any of these companies right now. And so people are upset, they're furious, because we continue to carry out the war on drugs, and even post legalization, people are still being arrested for cannabis possession or being stopped or searched by CPD or other police groups throughout the state. And so people are furious, and we've been fighting that and advocating for change, and we're going to get there, but we still got a long road ahead of us.
Definitely a long road. Definitely a long road. When you start to think about these licenses, so I know in each state is different. So how many licenses are they allowing you to get every time they do a run of they're releasing the licenses? What's the number?
Yeah, so right now, so we started out with the medical folks, and we basically just brought the medical folks over indirect. They grandfathered them in, and so that was all the majority white-owned companies. There were 55 of them initially. Then they allowed them to not only sell medical and rec, they also got an additional retail location, and they own all the cultivation. So that right now is at 74. As far as the new license rounds, these are the ones going to social equity applicants. So the last round of dispensary licenses, they made available 75. So people apply for 75. We're not sure who's going to win those. There's a lot of controversy about the first round of scoring, but the state's supposed to go back and rescore that, try to sort that mess out, because the scoring wasn't done consistently and accurately. And then they're also issuing some craft grow licenses. They're going to issue 40, which are craft grow licenses, which are essentially mini cultivation licenses. So you get the big cultivators, they can have up to like 200,000, 210,000 square feet of flowering space, so plant in the, in the flowering stage. These mini cultivation facilities can have up to 5,000 square feet of flowering space, which is not ideal, not what we want. But we're going to push to increase that. And then they're also making available infusion licenses, which is essentially, you can buy sort of extracts from cultivators and make things like, edibles and, products like that. So
it's
that's what we're at.
75, and you got like 3 million people live in Chicago, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a ton. So basically, the state did a demand study to determine how much they really needed to meet all the demand. And they think that we can have up to 500 dispensaries, and that would not be too much. And so eventually we want to have 500.
Okay, so what is the price point for a license?
Yeah, I mean, so it's tough because you can't just like buy into it. If you want to buy one from somebody, I would say like, the licenses are going to be different depending on where it is, and if it's in Chicago versus maybe a suburb versus downstate or something like that in Illinois. But the value is probably around, for just the license, maybe 5 million. But for the full, like, for the actual, like, fully operational store and all that stuff, it could be 10, 15 million for a store, maybe more than that.
And that's nuts. And so automatically you're telling certain people, don't even try, don't even bother. Don't even try to come this way. That's basically what's being said. Is that accurate?
I mean, now maybe yes, because also the application process. So you can apply for one outright. You don't have to have all the money. So you can apply for one and win, but even that is expensive. And so I think a lot of folks spend like $100,000 just to put together an application to maybe win a license.
Wow.
Some people spend more than that, and you got to have all your ducks in a row to be competitive. And even then, we got 4,000 applications, and so if that's for 75 licenses. So your chances of winning are still low. So it's a lot of risk.
And you don't get that $100,000 back at all.
You do not get it back at all, not a dime.
That's it's really risky, but this is the green rush. So sort of like the gold rush, are you guys telling the individuals that in the Black and brown communities other ways that they can possibly get into the cannabis industry without going through getting that license that way?
Yeah, definitely. So that's been one of the key goals of the coalition, is to create pathways to employment and training. Not everybody wants to try to own a dispensary. Not everybody's going to be a business owner. That's in any industry. Not everybody's got the resources or wants to deal with all that. It's a headache, running a business. I've worked for operators and they work all the time. Not everybody wants to do that. And so we're creating pathways to legitimacy. So for folks that maybe are in the unregulated market or the legacy market, they maybe want to move in, maybe wet their feet by working at a dispensary or working at a cultivation facility. We're pushing to reserve a portion of those opportunities for folks from disproportionately impacted communities, Black folks, Latinx folks that have been incarcerated or arrested for cannabis. We want to see them in the industry. Those are the folks that have carried the culture to this point, and created that demand for this product in the first place. So our community benefits agreement, which is something that, it's a campaign that we launched around January of last year to get all the existing operators to agree to hire from Black and brown communities, to reinvest in those communities, and to create business opportunities for, entrepreneurs that maybe don't want to own a dispensary or grow, but maybe they want to create new packaging, or maybe they do marketing and branding, or maybe they have some other sort of, product that can help cannabis businesses run more efficiently. There's so many different opportunities, and we always push folks to those because there's so many ways to get in that are less capital intensive up front. Maybe you make really good brownies. You can create a brand around that, and you don't have to own a cultivation facility to do that. So
yeah, makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Now, you talked about something, you mentioned the felons, so you're hearing places like California are, really making some huge strides on trying to get felons into the business some way, shape, form, or fashion. What does that look like in your state?
Yeah, so that's something we got to work on. And so when we legalized cannabis, we passed a bill that allowed for the expungement of basically minor offenses. So for like if you're arrested for minor possession or minor dealing, or so in some cases like lower, in felonies and things like that, those could be sealed. But for folks that were really doing time, that were really making a living off of the industry and stuff like that, that's something that we got to continue to work on at the state level in terms of policies that will help create pathways to be in the industry for folks like that. Originally in the medical market, those folks were cut out.
Yeah.
And so, most states had, laws in the books that said if you had, a felony or sometimes any conviction for a cannabis or drug offense, you couldn't be in the legal market, which is insane because the people that operate now are violating federal law, like they're committing federal crime. So it's crazy, but you know how the world works.
Yeah, it's just so funny, this whole thing, but sad at the same time, the double standard that's going on, so what is it that you guys really want to, if you had to say something to, that one message that you're trying to get out to individuals, not just in your state, because you're doing the work, but I think that sometimes if other states see, let's say you see Indiana, you see, Michigan, and states that surround you guys do something, what do you want to see done wholeheartedly with the type of work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, we want to see, people legalize cannabis with equity at the center of their legalization effort. And so we want to see folks, with felonies in the industry. We want to see folks that did time for this in the industry. We want to see communities that have been destroyed by the war on drugs, by the racist war on drugs in the industry. And so we need to see them create, cannabis markets. So, Indiana, for example, when they legalize, they need to have that at the center and at the forefront. And it probably needs to start in the medical program. So the states that don't have medical programs, equity needs to be in your medical program. Because we know whoever gets the head start in medical is going to have a head start in rec. And so we want to see people start from the same starting line. And that's been a big issue, is that certain folks are getting a head start. And we always say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you get, we run in a marathon and you start 3 hours ahead of me, you're going to win. It don't matter. We can run for 5 days, you're going to win. So,
I've been telling people that for years. I say, sometimes we, especially as Black individuals, I say, you're running so much and it seems like you're in the lead, but you don't know you've just been lapped 400 times. And so just because you don't see nobody, you think that you're in the lead. Those people are sitting there relaxing, chilling, they're walking at this point or just chilling and waiting on you. So yeah, definitely. I definitely appreciate you. Well, my last question, which is most important to me, is the children, because growing up now, we didn't grow up in a space where it was always illegal for the most part. It was always a taboo thing. So when you're going to talk to kids in high schools or in elementary schools or middle schools now, what is going to be the conversation? And I ask you because I imagine this is a nonprofit organization. What's the rhetoric going to be now to those kids? Because a lot of this is going to change. I played basketball in high school. We had to take urine samples. The NBA is no longer testing for it. So our kids, football, things of that nature. What do you think is going to look like in the next 5 years? The conversation with the children.
Yeah. So for the kids, cannabis it's going to be treated like alcohol. So it'll still be illegal for kids to use. But what I don't want to see is kids being locked up and saddled with criminal records for, having cannabis. That's not right. That's not helpful. I think that, kids are going to use cannabis. We know that kids drink alcohol. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I did that as a kid too. So who didn't as a teenager and stuff. But we want to educate the kids. We want to make sure that they understand what the plan is. We don't want to make it this thing that's like so taboo and cool that they want to go do it, because that's what kids are going to do. You tell them not to do something, they're going to want to go do it.
Exactly.
They think something's so bad, they go, oh, I want to go do it. We see in the Netherlands where, you can just buy cannabis anywhere all the time, or in states in countries where it's legal. Kids aren't all hyped up to go smoke a joint because it's regular,
Yeah.
And so I think we got to destigmatize the plant. That'll help with kids. And then educate kids about it. Like your brain is not fully done forming and stuff. Don't smoke weed all day, every day as a kid. It's not healthy,
Yeah.
Things like that. And then, just let them know this is something for adults. And when they become an adult, it can be part of a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. And I think with the testing, I'm really proud of the NBA for taking leadership on this issue. And I like to see the NFL and MLB and NHL and all the other sports leagues follow. College teams need to do that, even if they're under 21. They don't need to be ruining people's lives because they had a smoke any more than they had a drink. College athletes drink, and they're not getting kicked off the team, so they shouldn't be kicked off the team for smoking. So you got to demystify the plant, stop criminalizing it, educate folks.
I love it. I love it. Again, that was important to me because at the end of the day, one of my favorite quotes is Frederick Douglass, who says, it's better to build strong children than to repair broken men. And so some of the people who've already been railroaded or taken advantage of, you might not be able to help. But I think going into the next generation with everything you guys are doing, I see that, but starting in 2019, you got some time to start doing some work. And so I'm like, are you, tackling those kids that's coming up who hadn't been mistreated yet? How do we stop them? I want to help the people who have been, but a lot of times it's like, if we can start the next generation and get them going, you can actually really see the next change. And they're used to being treated properly because you're fighting for them in the beginning, as opposed to waiting for them something bad to happen to them and then come and try to save them. So that was why that was important to me personally. But thank you so much. And, please let us know everything. Let us know all the information, how we can contact you, how your social media, if you guys have any, and so how anybody that's in that area can connect with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. So Cannabis Equity Illinois Coalition is on Instagram, Twitter. It's Canna Equity Illinois on both Instagram and Twitter. You can also just Google us and you'll find all that. We got a website. Myself, Akele _J on Instagram. I don't really do too much Twittering. I just look at other folks' stuff, but I'm on there too. But yeah, definitely find us on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow everything that we're doing. Got a lot going on, and 2021 is going to be a big year. We know 2020 was kind of trash, but 2021 has a lot of good stuff as far as cannabis equity. So
yeah,
stay tuned.
Well, if they get this vote going in the next couple of days, it might be amazing. If Georgia do what they're supposed to do, and with getting Trump out of there, 2020, it could have been all worth it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we got one down. Trump's out of here, so let's go.
It could have been all worth it. But yeah, thank you again. You guys know how to find us, Canna Biscuits, on all our social medias. It's Canna_Biscuits at anything. Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, everywhere. As well as me, I am J Haleem on all social medias. Follow us, cannabiscuits.com. You'll see me with this gentleman right here. And I love what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to put this out there to everybody. I know you guys are in Illinois, but some states need to hear it. Some people are moving real slow. And so they need to hear some of the things that you guys are doing. And maybe they'll pick up with it because I know we're in the South. And in the South, they're moving like snails. And people are getting locked up at very, very disproportionate rates. I mean, when you hear about what's going on up there, then people are literally, once you get over an ounce, you're like, oh, it's a felony. And it could be, an ounce and a half. I'm like, somebody had an ounce and a half, they probably smoked it. At this point, they're not using, but that's just what they do. So again, thank you guys for what you guys doing and having the forefront. We do have NORML down here, so start making these conversations. Let's keep the conversation going between our two organizations and see how we can do something together.
Hey, for sure. And shout out to NORML. I'm also a board member of Chicago NORML too.
Yes, definitely shout out to NORML. Thank you so much, Mr. Parnell, and enjoy the rest of your day, man. I know you're working hard. Look, we all working hard. And 2021, you put them suits back on.
That's right.
All right, have a good one, man. Thanks.
All right, man, you too.